Hello and welcome to Rights and Recourse, a program that tackles legal issues, bringing you information and analysis. My name is Dumile Matez. Remember, you can also be part of our discussion today by tweeting us at Rights and Recourse or calling our studio line on 011 714 5497 or 5498. Alternatively, you can email your thoughts to rightsandrecourse@sabc.co.za. Man is born free, but everywhere he's in chains. With this phrase, Jean-Jacques Rousseau asserts that modern states repress the physical freedom, that is our birthright, and do nothing to secure the civil freedom for the sake of which we enter into civil society. Almost 20 years ago, 20 years on, the government is said to be fast-tracking parole for political prisoners who are still languishing in jails for crimes committed in the course of political activity before the emergence of the democratic dispensation. The case of Kenny Motsamai and many others like him remain peculiar. Whether they were criminal or politically motivated, many believe that the justice system has failed them. Today on Rights and Recourse, we examine the discrepancies surrounding the quest for their release. To discuss this burning issue are Dr. Motsuko Pegu, former president of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, Ms. Marjorie Jobson from the Kulumani Support Group, and Mr. Narius Muloto, Secretary General of the Pan-African Congress of Azania. Gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Rights and Recourse.
Good afternoon.
Just want to say, during the course of the program, we will be joined on the phone by Mr. Motsamai's legal advisor, Ms. Luleka Flatela, who will give us an update. Would I ever also like to point out that we did try and get Correctional Services and the Justice Department to take part in this panel discussion, but they did not wish to participate. First of all, let me ask the question, Marjorie, probably from you. What do you understand were the terms of the Amnesty Commission?
Okay, well, the Amnesty was created to manage this political transition, to give people who wish to come forward about their political activities that caused harm to other people to have an opportunity to present before a panel of judges, and based on certain conditions, like was there full disclosure, was there proportionality, was the crime proportional to the motive, and was there evidence that it was politically motivated, was there a political party that sanctioned the action, the crime, and on those grounds people were given amnesty. There were about 7,000 applicants, and only somewhere like less than 1,000 people actually got amnesty. And there were thousands of people who didn't come forward, who actually sit with the truth that is still probably never going to be disclosed, unfortunately.
Dr. Motsuko Pegu, you probably was part of the leadership of the PAC at the time. We were given almost 100 names of former APLA operatives who are still in jails and in South Africa, and the Amnesty, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, refused to give them amnesty.
First of all, let me say that I have been saddled with the problem of political prisoners since I was a representative at the United Nations in New York, as well as in the Commission in Geneva. When I arrived here, I found a number of people who were in jail, and some people will know I've been up and down with them. But I have felt that we are not really dealing with the core of the problem. We are dealing with effects. We are not dealing with the causes. And for as long as we deal with effects, we are never going to solve this problem. We are dealing with symptoms. We are not dealing with the disease. We were at the United Nations precisely because the United Nations had declared apartheid a crime against humanity. I have yet to see where people who fought against a crime against humanity have to be the ones who are in jail. And I'm very saddened because more perpetrators of the crime of apartheid are in comfortable homes, in comfortable jobs, and they did the most abominable things.
I'm just going to come back to that.
Yeah,
I see you have a lot of information that you want to share with us.
Yeah. Anyway, in Parliament, I raised this matter, And that is precisely why the question of the presidential pardon came in. I raised this during the time of President Mbeki. And I don't know I don't know how far this has gone, but I was given the impression that the president actually went out and pardoned people. I know one PAC member, in fact there were two, in Groenpont, who were actually told that they have been granted the pardon, but now they were still sitting there in jails. So it is not very clear why they are sitting in jails, but I think it is because they say that a victim, they will be victims. A victim must be told that the people are being released. And
the victims must give consent.
But you will remember the case of Mrs.
I'll go to that. We'll come to that. Let me just go to Mr. Mloto. Mr. Mloto, as Secretary General of the PAC, how did Mr. Motsamai lost out on parole, on amnesty?
On amnesty. First, let me start with the first question that you have asked. There should be no doubt that these people are political prisoners. They were members of the PAC and they were members of its military wing, APLA. The activities they have undertaken that led them to prison, to be incarcerated, were those activities which were sanctioned by the High Command of APLA. And therefore, they are qualified as political prisoners. On that point, there should be no doubt. Now, having said that, the PAC has and has...
Sorry, Mr. Mloto, I just wanted to explain that.
Sure.
For instance, the information that we have is that Mr. Motsamai actually shot dead a policeman, a traffic police, when they were caught stealing from a supermarket. Is that a political instruction?
Look, what we know is that Kenny Motsamai was a commander of units in the logistics. And the logistics of the PAC is that at that time of APLA is that there were units that were basically charged to repossess and to make sure they raise food, money and the necessary material and resources and feed others. So what we know is that he was there. So our command was not ordering specific operations, so he had a broad mandate to act within what he has acted. So what should not be questioned, what is not an issue, is whether he was a member of APLA, and what is not an issue is whether he was a member of the PAC. And on that basis, he qualified as a political prisoner. He was a political prisoner. And I must go further to say he was not arrested or charged by the democratic government. Now, this democratic government has inherited his incarceration from the apartheid, and they continued with it. They are basically arresting him, continue to arrest him on behalf of the apartheid government. That's what disappoints us as the PAC. That's what we believe it is wrong. That's basically a miscarriage of justice.
Marjorie, one of the things, if Motsamai was sentenced to death by the courts of then National Party government, and in 1994, after 94, his death sentence was commuted to life. I understand in law that life is interpreted, is translated to represent 25 years. He's been in jail for about 27 years, you said?
Yes.
How come?
I mean, these are the questions that I think PAC rightfully ask, because it hasn't been explained. The law says, and this is the law from 1959, the original law, that you serve, if you're a lifer, you serve 25 years and then you are released. So we also struggle to understand. A press release I saw this week said when he returned to jail this week, there were some further investigations being conducted, but I don't think anybody understands what are those investigations, because there have been 25 years of time to conduct investigations.
When we come back, we'll give Dr. Peku an opportunity to just talk about these 25 years that is supposed to represent a life sentence. If you'd like to join us in today's discussion, you can call us on 011 714 5497 or 5498, or tweet us at Rise Recourse. And you can email your thoughts about this program and many others to riseandrecourse@sabc.co.za. Stay with us.
New Castle Milk Stout Chocolate Infused. Savor the moment. The crafted chocolate stout made to be savored responsibly by people over the age of 18.
Welcome back as we discuss the issue of the parole for Kenny Motsamai and many others who are like him. Let's come back to Dr. Peko. You probably understand this issue better than all of us, that 25 years should represent a life sentence.
I really think that the International Convention on the Suppression and Punishment of the Crime of Apartheid is more relevant to this situation. This 25-year parole or whatever, it is something that is for criminals. And I don't think that we should now, I think we should make a distinction between people who have committed crimes and people who have not committed crimes. I don't think that political activity and politicians who go there and are charged, they can be subjected to this 25, particularly in the context of the liberation movement, how it operated. And as I said earlier on, we're all sitting there at the United Nations precisely because United Nations has declared apartheid a crime against humanity. Before I can answer all these questions, I want to know whether there is a law in this country that can supersede an international convention. We know in the constitution of the country that they say they accept the principles of international law. If we're accepting the principles of international law, what are these people doing in those jails? What are they doing?
Mr. Boloto, the question is how many people, not only of the PAC, find themselves in the same boat as Mr. Motsamai?
Well, when we had a meeting with the Minister of Justice some time ago, he did explain that they had a total of 3,500 from a number of political parties, largely the ANC and the large contingent from the IFP. But that does not represent the total number of the PAC cadres. But let me, without any hesitation, indicate that what Dr. Pegu says 100% is what we have asked the Minister of Justice. What do these people need in prison? Why are they there? What did they do to the democratic government? Why do you continue? Because remember, these people sacrificed their lives. They left this country to receive military training, to come and fight apartheid, demolish apartheid, not the democratic government. And yet they have never seen freedom. They have never seen what we call democratic government. And yet they continue to be persecuted. They continue to be treated badly. But 27 years, it shows that our new democracy has 21 years. Here we are talking 27 years. You are talking far more than people who are spend more time than the age of our own government. And yet nobody is willing to come and answer this question. And the PAC, as Dr. Pegu is saying, has been seeking answers, and they're not coming. Now, even recently, when they are trying to release them, at one time they were saying they are criminals, but they could not justify. Now, when they are releasing them, when they are supposed to release them, even with the parole, because we need them out, they must be out. They are beginning to link them with the political connections. They are saying to them, one of the conditions, for instance, for comrade...
We'll come to the conditions. Right. I have a specific question around parole. I just want to come back to you, Marge. Marge, the Kulumani support group has been seized with these kind of things. I know you have been seized with reparations, you've been seized with people. I heard you for some other radio station talk about the Kenny Motsamai case. I wonder, what kind of answers are you getting?
You see, I think, and I fully agree with Dr. Peko, that the issue is when we constructed this mechanism to facilitate a transition, we constructed a very flawed process, because the mandate of the TRC was not to start with the basis that apartheid laws were illegitimate. So the TRC never critiqued apartheid laws, and then the system that was created was an attempt to set up a criminal justice system that will find individuals responsible for crimes when their crimes were political. So it wasn't an organization of an approach to how do we deal with creating political justice in South Africa. And I think all these problems come from that. We have huge problems. We took a case to New York, and one of our arguments was that apartheid was a criminal enterprise, and the answer from the court was
the class action.
A class action, and it was dismissed
against
because there was no precedent
America
to find apartheid a criminal enterprise. And so I think everything actually tracks back to what Dr. Peko is putting on the table, and I think we didn't create the right solution, and we still have a chance to fix these issues. We've been with the minister recently, and we've had, we were involved, of course. Some of the PAC political prisoners are in jail because we blocked the dispensation that was created because we said it is flawed.
That was the reference group that was started by, but was set up by President Beki in 2007.
So originally there was like 2,109 applications from people in jail for politically motivated crimes, and the Mbeki dispensation only recognized, I think, 149. So all of those others are sitting in jail, and there's no remedy at this stage.
Let me go back to somebody on the line. I think it's Ms. Flatela. Ms. Flatela, if it is you, can you give us an update of what is happening now with the Kenny Motsamai case? Hello? Is there somebody on the line? Seems to have nobody. Dr. Peko, let me come to you.
Yes,
why would a prisoner who has served 25 years still be subjected to a parole process?
I really think I've answered that question.
Yes, we have.
As I say, I think the 25 years thing is for criminals. And if we go there, we are going to do exactly what the TRC...
You mean parole is for criminals?
Yes, I would think that it does not really apply to the people here because they are sitting there illegally in the first place, according to the International Convention on the Suppression and Punishment of the Crime of Apartheid. So, I mean, this has been my stand for many, many years. You know, so I don't think now that I should subject myself to national law. With people who claim that they accept the principles of international law. One of the principles of international law is implement the International Convention on the Suppression and Punishment of the Crime of Apartheid. As a liberation movement that was our platform. Not fraud, and all these things.
Dr. Bego, well, my apologies for interrupting.
Sorry about it.
Mr. Mloto, it is the view of many that Mr. Motsamai's refusal to sign documents, parole documents, that would lead to his release on parole would be a Pyrrhic victory for him. A Pyrrhic victory in the sense that he has to report every evening, he leave jail, go home, come back in the afternoon and report. That's a Pyrrhic victory. It's not victory at all.
Yeah, firstly, I mean, they want to criminalize our struggle against apartheid. Even at the end, I mean, this man, this government, jointly with the apartheid government, literally finished this man. With 25 years beyond bars, and some of them even been mixed, they finished him. Now, at the end of the 27 years, they still want you to sign the condition which will continue to incarcerate you even in your own house. You must, when you go to sleep, they should be able to detect where you are, where you are sleeping, and as you move, you are not free. Now, on top of that, as I've said, they've basically wanted to disassociate to the PAC. I mean, to even not to take part in that, in the political activities of a political organization of his choice. You can see that they are acting with impunity, without having taken regard of what we have said, that these people were not supposed to be there in the first place. But they continue to punish them, even at the end. Now we have a person after 10 years, even within, we have said, we are now trying to argue, because the reality is that they've already served these years. And we are saying, even themselves, they are not supposed to have served these years. After 15 years or 10 years, they were supposed to parole is supposed to have kicked in. The attempt by the previous presidents, we are also saying, given the law of the parole and all those things, they should have happened long time ago.
Well, if you'd like to join us in this discussion, you can call us on 011 714 5497, 5498, or tweet us at Rights Recourse. You can also email us about many other programs that we have aired, topics that you'd like us to cover, at rightsandrecourse@sabc.co.za. Stay with us.
Milk Stout chocolate infused. Savor the moment. The crafted chocolate stout made to be savored responsibly by people over the age of 18.
Welcome back to Rights and Recourse as we discuss the issue around Kenny Motsamai. We are now joined on the line by his lawyer, Ms. Luleka Flatela. Ms. Flatela, good afternoon and welcome to Rights and Recourse.
Good afternoon, Mr. Matesa. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Apparently, Ms. Motsamai, correct me if I'm Ms. Flatela, correct me if I'm wrong. Kenny Motsamai's legal team and the legal team of the Department of Justice reached an agreement on the parole issues. And correct me if I'm wrong, the minister has ordered an investigation into this whole matter. What investigation is this that the minister has ordered? Do you have any clue?
Yes, I should clarify that on the 10th of November last year, we approached the court by way of agency, seeking that Mr. Motsamai must be released unconditionally. Alternatively, if the courts were not with us on that point, to be released on parole, because the time for him to be considered to be released on parole had long gone. The law and the provisions of the law that empowers an offender to be released on parole states that for the offenders that were sentenced prior to the coming into effect of the Correctional Services Act of 1998, they ought to have been considered after 10 years of serving their sentence, at worst after 15 years. Now, we then in court agreed with the state attorneys that the matter should be regarded as agent, should be heard as agent, and that the minister was ordered by the court to consider the release of Mr. Motsamai on parole. On the 1st of December, the minister made his decision after the recommendation by the National Council of Correctional Services. He made his decision that Mr. Motsamai will be released on the 18th of January on a day parole, subject to certain conditions. One of those conditions was that he must be electronically monitored in terms of the Act of 1998. And one of other conditions was that his release is subject to the normal departmental conditions. Those that decision was then presented to Mr. Motsamai on the 23rd of December last year. Mr. Motsamai then correctly stated that he cannot, and he was advised to sign. And Mr. Motsamai correctly stated that before he can take any decision to sign the minister's decision, he must first be allowed to consult with his legal representative so as to take legal advice, because the minister was not was implementing a court order, was complying with the court order. He was then pressurized on that very same day that he must sign those documents. And the form that was used, it states that I, Kenny Motsamai, confirm that I have been informed of the minister's decision. It is not right, it is actually a lie that he was presented with these with the minister's decision, including the conditions to accept. He was just informed that he must sign a form to confirm that he has been informed of the minister's decision.
Ms. Fatela, my apologies. Ms. Fatela, my apologies.
Yes.
Are you saying the parole was an order of a court, or is the minister taking his own decision, own discretion, making his own discretion?
It was an order of court. The order directed that the order of the court, at paragraph 3, directed that the first respondent, which was the minister, is directed to consider the applicant for release on parole within 30 days of the second respondent, that is the National Council of Correctional Services. Yes.
Have you subsequently not made another try to get another court entity for unconditional release?
I'm still explaining I'm just still explaining the chronological event on what happened.
Let's go on with the chronology.
Because there is an issue that was raised by one of your guests of the issue of an issue of an investigation that happened. Prior to Mr. Motsamai given this minister's decision, his cell was raided. His cell was searched on the 20th of December. According to the information, it was stated that it was an order from the minister's office that they should go and search his cell and look, and were looking for the cell phone. It is that investigation that they were talking about, that he will not be released on the 18th pending that investigation. They refused again that I consult with him regarding that issue until such time that I had to draft an agent application. It is only when the registrar of court called the department to state that I am bringing an agent application on the 28th of December for me to consult with Kenny, that they allowed me to consult with him. And I represented him in the DC. And then those charges, there were charges that were laid against him, they were dismissed. Now, on the 18th, fast forward, Kenny was never called for pre-release program, or after he was given that that form or that minister, he was shown that minister's decision. He was not even given a copy of that decision, because the department stated that it is their own document. He is not supposed to have a copy for him to consult and seek legal advice on that. So you are dealing with that kind of department that thinks that they can do anything, and they have no legal obligation to state why or the decision that they are making regarding a person. They have no legal obligation upon them to explain themselves. Now, they did not call Kenny for pre-release program until the 18th. Until the 18th, the day that he was supposed to have been released. Now, on consultation after the 18th of January, Kenny advised that he was told that he must accept those conditions. Remember, we had written a letter on the 12th of January to the office of the minister asking, raising two issues. why they included an electronical monitoring in the conditions, and secondly, to disclose what are those conditions, the normal departmental conditions, because they were unknown. They were unknown to us at that time. They were unknown to Kenny. So Kenny was forced to sign and accept the conditions that he was not aware of. Kenny refused to sign and said the legal representatives have written a letter to you requesting this clarification. It is only last week on a Friday, way after the date that the minister said they will release him, that they responded to our letter requiring the conditions. And the conditions are that of day parole, the normal departmental conditions. Now we are aware what the conditions are.
What is the way forward now? Quickly, what is the way forward?
Yes, we had instructions to then take the matter on review, to take the matter to court, and the court should explain, should adjudicate on the reasonableness of the conditions that are put for Kenny to comply with. And another thing, Mr. Mateza, it must be stated
unfortunately, we have to go to a break. If you can stay on the line, we'll come back to you to give us full details about what's going to happen next. That's Ms. Flatela. Kenny Motsamai's legal advisor was telling us the issue is they are going to take the decision of the minister for review to a court of law. And remember, we did invite Correctional Services and the Department of Justice, but they did not see their way clear to be part of this discussion. If you want to talk to us, you can phone us on 011 714 5497 or 5498 or tweet us at Recourse. Stay with us.
In the unfortunate event of death, the last thing your family should have to worry about is money.
That is why all clientele funeral plans pay out within 24 hours.
Plus, we will send 200 Rand free airtime to help with the necessary funeral arrangements.
I'm very proud to have given my cousin a decent funeral, because that is very important in our culture.
Clientele funeral plans are affordable. They start from just 99 Rand per month.
It's easy to apply. No medical examinations, no paperwork. It includes an unveiling and a grocery benefit.
Important. You can cover up to 13 people on one plan.
And on our Ultimate Dignity plan, you can get all your premiums back. Yes, all your money back on top of your cover amount.
I'm
very grateful to clientele.
SMS funeral to 47025.
Welcome back to Rights and Recourse, as we discuss the issue of Kenny Motsamai. But let's have a look and see what the Twitter committee has to say on this matter. Frank Moltino says, an absolute disgrace that South Africa still has political prisoners. Shame on our government. Release them immediately. The crime was apartheid. Sankara says at Rights and Recourse, this ANC guys can't be trusted. What are they afraid of so much? This doesn't make sense. 27 years is enough. It was for de Kock. I don't know what he means there, but he says de Kock got less than 27. Sankara again is tweeting prolifically at Rights and Recourse. The ANC government has something to hide about this Kenny Motsamai, but we can't see the rest of the other things. Quickly, we're going back to Ms. Flatela, was still telling us what is going to happen next. Ms. Flatela, are you saying you are taking the minister's decision on review? No, she's not there now. I think let's come back to the panel. Ms. Mloto, I'm actually at a loss of words here. Yes. A person who serves 27 years in jail is being released on parole and is going to have an electronic device attached to him. Is he a flight risk?
That's what surprised us. How can we imagine Kenny leaving the country? He's a freedom fighter. He never enjoyed freedom. He was here. Look, he was born here. He fought for to free this country and its people. And now, how do you put the electronic defense and you call it freedom? And there are other conditions other than that. But we found it to be inhuman, totally unjustified.
You have written a letter to the minister. Have you received a response to that letter?
No, we have not received a response. For one reason or another, the government has decided not to respond to our letters. Look, there's no justification. We say Kenny and other applicators that are there. We have cadres like Sidiso Zulu, who even after he was due for release 18 months ago, he was just being told that the Department of Justice still have a case. They haven't proven, they haven't gone to him, they just keep him there. There's no crime. Everything is. Now, it appears there are issues. So you call for the unconditional release. We understand and we know that other people who understand law will try to do this and that, but we just don't see any sense of continuing to keep them in prison.
Marge, you had an audience with the minister recently, and I seem to have read somewhere in the documents of the TRC that at some stage government was going to hand over all the cases of those people who did not get amnesty to the National Prosecution Authority. Did that happen?
The files were handed over. There were 350 cases of people who didn't meet the requirements for amnesty and whom the TRC decided should be prosecuted, really egregious crimes. And all of that process has been on hold apart from the one case against Mr. Adrian Vlok, where he entered a plea bargain and got a suspended 5-year sentence. And now with our new National Director of Public Prosecutions, there's a new head of the Priority Crimes Litigation Unit who is picking up...
Let's take this call. We'll come back to that. Let's take this from Gallix in the Free State. Gallix, good afternoon and welcome to Rights and Recourse.
Okay, very good afternoon, Mr. Moteza and your panel, Ms. Jobson and my fellow Africanists, Mwafrika Pegu and Mwafrika Mloto.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I think it is very much unfair that we still find ourselves in a situation where the freedom fighters in general and applicators in particular are still incarcerated in our correctional centers. You name our places, Chipape, Oripa, Kenny Motsamai, and so forth. What I want to say is actually that I hear Mwafrika people talking about the United Nations. But personally, I don't think, or I don't trust bodies like the United Nations because I think they are not that neutral. Because if they were, neutral or they wanted something to be done about these applicators who are still incarcerated, that could have been done a long time ago. And there is also something that I want to say in regards to this, to our president, Mr. Jacob Zuma, that I don't think that he's actually the one who's deciding on the matter or the issue of releasing the applicators, because I think, or I should say that maybe there is someone who's above him. You see these civil societies are actually running the whole thing. And furthermore, I want to contribute by saying that for the United Nations, you can say that this and that must happen, but they don't put that pressure, and I think they are actually playing the double standard. We cannot, as African people, say we are going to enjoy the freedom of South Africa of Tanzania, whilst the freedom fighters themselves are still incarcerated in our jails.
Thank you,
then the lack
Galaxy.
of,
We got the gist. Galaxy, we got a gist of what you are saying there. You're actually opposed to the views Mr. Pegu talks about the United Nations. You don't trust the United Nations. Dr. Pegu, the question I want to know,
can I explain this though? Because
you can answer that together with this one. You can answer that together with can the president invoke Section 84, subsection J of the Constitution, pardoning or reprieving offenders and remitting any fines, penalties, or forfeitures?
Well, there has been talk of presidential pardons, and this was done. How far it has gone, I do not know. Now, did somebody challenge that as constitutionally? I don't know.
Well, we were part of the people who challenged it, and the Constitutional Court found that because President Mbeki, in constructing the special dispensation on political pardons, it was a mechanism to deal with political prisoners, had not met the requirement of the TRC around consultation with victims. And on those grounds, the Constitution...
Sorry, Marge, I'm referring specifically here to Section 84 of the Constitution. I don't think the President has to consult with anybody if he wants to pardon somebody, except for the person who needs to be pardoned.
What does it say? What does
Section
84 say?
Section 84, subsection J says that some of the functions of the President is to pardon and reprieve offenders and remitting any fines or penalties.
If that is true, then it should have been done a long time ago without even forming these groups, isn't it? Why has it not been done then?
He has the power to do that.
Look, we have seen a number of our cadres did apply, and we have seen some rejections. We are in constant contact with these comrades. They talk to us. The president, in number of applications made to him, has in fact rejected the application for presidential pardon. It wasn't President Zuma, it was presidents before that. Yeah, now these things have happened. It is not that they've just arisen now.
Well, the other question I want to know, I think you were still busy explaining to us your audience with the minister.
So basically this dispensation for a political pardon was blocked by Kulumani with 4 other civil society organizations.
On the grounds that?
On the grounds that there was not a requirement to consult with the victims of the offences. Now that's easy to remedy, and so we met, our lawyers actually met with the minister on the 4th of September because we'd been saying, let's shape this dispensation so it doesn't fall foul of the Constitutional Court decision. We think that's perfectly easy to do, but so far it hasn't happened.
Let's take this call from Dan from Johannesburg. Dan, good afternoon and welcome to Rights and Recourse.
Good afternoon, Mr. Motsamai and Kenny.
Yes, gentlemen, please let's listen to Dan.
Mr. Motsamai, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Dan.
Yeah, Mr. Motsamai, the actual fact is they're not fighting the Kennys and the PAC. They are fighting Mr. Sobukwe. That's where the whole thing starts. If you can see, there's nothing mentioned of Mr. Sobukwe. I know Mr. Sobukwe very well because he was my father's friend, Mr. Elbone. I'm sure Mr. Motoko will remember him. He stayed in Alexander. He was never also mentioned in the ANC, and he contributed a lot. There was a church at 4th Avenue and Selborne. That church was torched. He torched it, but he's nowhere in the vision. I thank you, Mr. Motsamai.
Thank you very much. I didn't pick up what he was saying there. Actually, it's
not that I wanted to explain that question of the United Nations.
Oh, yes.
It is not the United Nations that has to implement a law that is international law here, because this law binds all nations that have ratified it, and therefore it is the South African government that has to implement the convention I refer to, not that we want the United Nations to come here and take people to court.
If anybody heard Dan, I couldn't hear Dan.
No, Dan believed that the government is just fighting Sobukwe and his vision. That's basically how they've treated Sobukwe. Remember that the same conditions that are being placed of house arrest and all those things, those conditions started with Sobuko when he was released, and they just been continued with the cadres even now, almost more than 30 years thereafter. But I also made to understand that Kulumani accept the responsibility, that to a greater extent they are the ones who are responsible, who blocked the presidential button, and they believe they can do something about it. Remember that here we are said, even at the minimum law which we have already argued against, we are saying using the current framework of the law, these people are not supposed to be there. Now you cannot, we have been told that these people are in the correctional services. Correctional services, we understand, is a department that rehabilitate the prisoners. Now how do you take a person whom you think is fully rehabilitated after 27 years, and you still put the conditions that deny him an association? We as a party want to deploy these people. Their number, when they come back, we have not rejected them. We want to deploy them so that they continue to work to build the PAC.
What's difficult for the PAC as a parliamentary, as a party, as a political party in Parliament, to seek an audience with the minister?
Look, we did. That letter you have just said.
No, but I'm saying in Parliament.
Parliament.
There's a leader in Parliament of the PAC, Mr. Mbindani.
Mr. Mbinda, Lutando Mbinda, the president of the
But
PAC.
this matter has been raised many times, and I was there for 10 years.
Then what happened?
Yes, you can tell me. I mean, the final thing was President Mbeki said, okay, we have heard you, let's see what we can do. Because they were saying the TRC said this. I said, no, the TRC was flawed. So they finally said, let us have a presidential pardon. The presidential pardon seems to have sunk somehow.
There is no, I can confirm, there is no avenue that the PAC has not tried. We have tried everything. We spoke to everybody whom we are supposed to talk. We have written endless letters. So I think this issue, the members of the PAC must throughout about 4 cities of this country, and in the union building, they refuse to come and receive a memorandum. So there is a feeling among the members of the PAC and among the public, of course, as we have already seen, that this is a deliberate attempt, and that's what we are saying as the PAC and these members, that I think we've been tested to the, this thing has gone too far.
I thought you were going to say been tested to the limit. I was afraid. And I think, obviously, Mr. Mulota, I'm going to press him on this issue, why the PAC cannot engage the minister in Parliament. When we come back from the break, we are first going to be talking to Ms. Flatela, who's back on the line with us. Don't go away. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Rights and Recourse, as we are joined once again by Ms. Flatela, Ms. Lulega Flatela. Can you give us an update on what is going on now? Ms. Flatela, are you there?
Hello, yes.
Yes, can you give us an update? What are you planning to do now as legal advisor to Kenny Motsamai?
Yes, we have instructions to bring the matter back to court on an agent basis for the release and for the unconditional release. Alternatively, that's our first prayer, that because he has served his time in full, he has served 25 years after he was sentenced. If 2 years is added when he was arrested, that he has served effectively 27 years in prison. Therefore, he should be released unconditionally.
When should we expect that action in court?
And looking, if the court is not with us on that, to look at the conditions, at the conditional parole, we believe that it is infringing on the constitutional right to human dignity, freedom and security, freedom to receive and impact information or ideas in furtherance of the policies of his political organization, a right to participate in activities and to recruit on behalf of his political organization, the freedom of movement and residence, freedom of trade and occupation. So those are basic fundamental human rights that the court must look at when they look at these conditions, whether they do not infringe on those rights. So we have clear instructions to bring the matter back to court.
Ms. Valtela, thank you very much, and we hope to see a lot more around that. But first of all, let me come here for final thoughts. Mr. Moloto, what's the next step for the PAC?
Look, it is a pity that is a democratic government that has been led by people who have also
First of all, probably I should ask you, are you going to support that court action that Ms. Valtela is talking about?
Yeah, PAC has been supporting all efforts to get our political prisoners, and in particular Comrade Kenny Motsamai and others, to be released unconditionally. We will support, our members have been demonstrating, marching in support of his release. We will continue to do that. In actual fact, in our national Congress in Mpumalanga that we just came, one of the resolutions is that we are going to intensify the struggle, the campaign to get the political prisoners released. So it's one of our resolutions.
I thought we had got away with calls, but there's a caller on the line, Dennis from Johannesburg. Dennis, good afternoon and welcome to Rights and Recourse. Hello, Dennis.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mateza and the panelists.
Yes.
You know, I was the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Correctional Services.
Dennis Bloom.
I went to the prison visit with Ntate Peku there. Ntate Peku, we went to prisons in the one that I can remember is this one, Grootvrede, in Vereeniging. We met a lot of PAC cadres there. It's a disgrace that these people are still sitting there. They are not criminals. Why are they not being released? Including Kenny. I met Kenny because I visited this prison. 2007, this reference group, myself and Ntate Peku, gave the names and everything, our report, to the president, to say, President Mbeki, to say, here is our report on these people. Why are they not being released? Up until today, it's a disgrace, I must say. It's a disgrace.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Dennis Bloom there, spokesperson of COPE. Last final comments, Ms. Jobson.
Mr. Mateza, I think this is a very clear issue of a failure of administrative justice. It's something that affects Khulumani a lot because the amnesty hearings that granted amnesty to people failed to identify the victims of those people who got amnesty for reparations. So on all sorts of fronts there are administrative injustices, and there's no reason why we can't now fix the problem.
Dr. Pego, final comment from you.
Final comment for me really is I feel very bad in my own heart that I called for release of political prisoners like Mandela, Sobukwe at international fora. And I find that a government whose leaders were asking to be freed from jail, they've jailed others. The very people who fought that. So that these people could be presidents and all those things. And, you know, these are young people. They were given instructions. And if I can show you the perpetrators that have been the perpetrators here that have been given pardons, you'll be surprised why they've been given that.
We'll talk about them another day, Dr. Peku, no. Mr. Moloto, Ms. Jobson, Dr. Peku, thank you very much for your time. This has been a riveting discussion, and I looked at my own spiritual things. I looked at Jeremiah 6, chapter 6, verse 14 and to 15. They say, they have healed the wound of my people lightly, saying peace, peace, where there is no peace, where they are ashamed of the committed abominations. No, they were not at all ashamed. They did not know how to blush. Therefore they shall fall at the time that I punish them. Thus says the Lord, stand at the crossroads and look and ask for the ancient path, where the good way is, and walk in it, and find rest for your souls. But they refused and said, we will not walk in it. This has been Rights and Recourse. This program is repeated at 5 on Monday morning. Do find us on Twitter and on YouTube. From all of us here in the studio and the rest of the team, thank you to our guests, and goodbye.